Today's episode is sponsored by Jane, a clinic management software and EMR that helps you handle your clinic's daily admin tasks so you can free up your evenings and weekends. The Jane team understands how precious your time is and recognizes that charting can often be the most time-consuming admin task for practitioners. That's why they're here to help. To save you from having to start your chart notes from scratch, you can check out Jane's template library, which gives you access to templates that have been generously created and shared by health and wellness practitioners in the community. Once you have a template you like, you can choose to customize it further with charting tools such as range scales, text fields, checkboxes, and more. To see how Jane can help you spend more time doing what you love, head to jane.app to book a personalized demo. Or if you're ready to get started, you can use the code WELLNESS1MO at the time of sign up for a 1-month grace period applied to your new account. Hi there, and welcome to the Wellness Center Creators Podcast. I'm Kendall Hagenson.
And I'm Anna Rudell. We're thrilled to have you join us on this journey of creating innovative, patient-centered wellness centers.
As experienced health and wellness providers, we've seen firsthand the challenges of delivering comprehensive, holistic care to our patients.
That's why we created this podcast, to share the knowledge, strategies, and insights we've gained from our own experiences and from connecting with experts in the field.
Each episode, we'll dive into a different aspect of building and growing a successful wellness center, from developing a strong multidisciplinary team to implementing cutting-edge technologies and treatment approaches.
We'll also share practical tips, resources, and real-world examples to help you overcome common obstacles and streamline your processes.
Our goal is to empower you with the tools and confidence you need to create a thriving wellness center that truly makes a difference in your patients' lives.
So whether you're just starting out or looking to take your existing practice to the next level, you're in the right place.
Get ready to learn, grow, and be inspired. Let's create something amazing together.
Welcome to the Wellness Center Creators Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Wellness Center Creators Podcast.
Today on the show, we have Tricia Creason-Valencia. I know Tricia from San Jose Rotary Club. Tricia, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us how you got to be doing what you are doing?
I would be delighted. I'm a multi-hyphenate, so you're going to have to hang with me while I explain a few of the different things that I do. But primarily, for the last couple of decades, I've been a documentary filmmaker, a social justice issue filmmaker focused on making projects about women and girls primarily, often in Spanish, for public television. So connected to that, I'm also a teacher. So I've been teaching at various universities and high schools for several years, teaching filmmaking and visual storytelling. And the latest incarnation of my life, I'm taking everything I learned from those years of media production experience, combining it with my years of being a mother, and I'm doing more keynote speaking, where I'm sharing sort of the lessons that I've learned over the years about making media and seeing ourselves reflected and how we value ourselves. And I do speaking. And then I recently founded a new creative workspace for women called Powerhouse in downtown San Jose.
So you're in the process of founding Powerhouse. What is it and how will it serve women creators and entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So it does exist. It's this room that I'm sitting in now. It's a Victorian home on 2nd Street in downtown San Jose. And we've begun by opening up the front of the house. And I share it with my business partner, Farron Tabrizi, who's also a filmmaker. And I've been in the space for about 6 months. And as soon as I moved into co-work in the space with her, we fell in love with each other. We decided that we were having so much positive creative synergy. We were getting so much more productivity and creativity flowing between us. And we just really sat to talk about what's most meaningful to us. And it's creating spaces for women creatives and entrepreneurs to get in on this and to also have a place where they can do their work. So we're going to be expanding, taking over the whole house, and inviting folks to come and participate with us working in the space. We hope to hire each other. We're hoping everybody has some kind of a creative teaching element to what they're doing because we want to house workshops. We're going to have live music in the backyard. So we're basically going to take this like old-fashioned feminist women's center idea and boost it up to have it be more entrepreneurial for small business.
So it's really a wellness center of sorts. It's a wellness center for creatives and entrepreneurs. Do you see it that way?
Absolutely. And as we're sort of dreaming and scheming how we want to do it, we have a third sort of silent partner who is a health and wellness coach. She's been a friend of mine for a long time, and she's going to come in and do literally health and wellness workshops in the space, nutrition workshops. So to me, anytime that we're able to create space to gather together in community and to be authentic with each other and to really sort of be in a place of struggle and find ways to celebrate each other and to empower each other, that is so fundamentally core to our health and wellness, emotionally, physically. I know that when I'm in community in those ways, I'm a better mother, I'm a better, film producer, I'm a better teacher. The more grounded I am and the more in relationship I am with others, the better I do. So that's the hope for the space for all of our members.
Gosh, I love it when you talk about these things, Tricia. I love the idea of bringing women specifically together in community. And I know that that's something that both Kendall and I strive to do in our office environments. And one of the things that drew me to invite you on the show was how I love the way that you're able to bring out the creativity in people and how you strive to create community and stories and storytelling through community. And can you tell us a little bit more about what drives you and your mantras in life and in business?
I would love to. So right now, I'm really focusing on the idea that our stories connect us. And that foundation was built, obviously, through my years of filmmaking. I think of the camera as a tool for building empathy. Really, when we can connect with others, we can listen deeply and really understand their stories, then naturally we're going to build bridges of empathy, which can be built out into meaningful community connections, right? So I want folks to move outside their comfort zone, to experience other people's perspectives. So that was in one sort of arena of my life. I was practicing it pretty heavily as well in my teaching, obviously, working with youth, really creating space. I don't think adults listen to youth enough. So really creating space for the kids to make the work and then really taking it in and hearing what they have to say. And then I just kept kind of building on that concept, and everyone has a story to tell. Each of us, if we have enough time to sit together, we're going to figure out what are the commonalities, what are the things we have differently. Tell me more about your childhood, what's going on in your romantic partnerships, what's your work journey been? And I'm just super fascinated by people. So we all have these stories to tell, and I try to create containers where folks can come together and do that. And Anna, as you know, a lot of folks will say to me like, "Oh, I'm not creative. I don't want to take a photograph. I don't want to write a poem." And so I try to really create space where people feel safe in doing that, inspired to do that. We gather in groups and there's no wrong answers. We're just here to be together and to create, whether it's doing collage work or writing poetry or taking photographs. I think we all have a lot more access to our own understanding of beauty and aesthetics than we think we do. So I kind of would argue that we're all naturally artistic. We're all naturally creative. We may not identify that way. So I try to help folks see the places in their lives where they are and build that in to these empowerment workshops that we do.
Tricia, I get curious about how you care for yourself and how you integrate that into the work that you're doing, because in living in the creative process, right, it can be taxing. And depending on your own, personality and how you integrate that, but also if you're holding space for so many others to be in the creative process, how do you set a boundary in your own energetic self?
That is a fantastic question, and one that my friends have been asking me in a variety of ways my entire life.
I had a feeling.
Baseline, I'm a very high energy, extroverted 7 on the Enneagram, if you know that personality system. I get my energy from being around folks, and I know that to be true about myself. So thankfully, in the community building work that I do, the work itself is going to generate, positive energy within me. However, I mean, I can say like the pandemic was incredibly difficult and painful and challenging for me personally, for my family. My children were both teenagers during the pandemic. One is 20 now and one is 16. And it came at the absolute worst time in their identity development and in what they needed to be getting from their communities. So I would say in my life, that was probably the first time that I suffered what I would call a real bout of depression. I felt very powerless to help myself, to help my children. All the stuff I love disappeared in an instant, right? In terms of like my teaching in person and my ability to make art in collaboration. So I relied on some of the old fashioned tricks, like, definitely went into therapy during that time. My partner and I started seeing a parenting coach together to help us navigate those waters. So I think I'm pretty good at asking for help when I need it. When I was at my lowest and my worst, I'm very grateful that I've spent a long time building a community, a circle of women, friends who saw what was going on and showed up and brought meals and came over and looked around and did dishes and helped me clean the house, that sort of like day-to-day connectedness. I'm an athlete. I've played sports my whole life. I skated roller derby for many years. And now I play softball, and I play on a travel softball team. So I get to play softball a couple of times a week. I really need that kind of physical outlet for myself. I know that it's important to me as a very high energy person. I need an outlet for some of the anger that naturally arises, I think, doing social justice work, sometimes being frustrated as a mother, what have you. I'm always looking for places to sort of outlet that in ways that are productive. So if it's not making art, it's going to be roller skating or playing basketball or playing softball, something like that. And all of that is bounded by this friendship circle that I'm so lucky to be a part of.
Tricia, thank you for being so vulnerable there. It's a lot. The pandemic was a lot for sure.
Yeah.
So one of the many things that you've helped me personally with was my bio, and you put on a workshop at Powerhouse a couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. And on a whim, I signed up and joined Tricia for this 2-hour workshop, and it was vulnerable and vulnerable in a way that I didn't anticipate. And what I thought about was how we as entrepreneurs, we as wellness center creators, we as clinic owners rarely take that time to consider our bios. Tell us a little bit about your process around that.
So the workshop series that you're talking about is called Rock Your Bio. And my goal is, it's truly an empowerment exercise. It's to get women, primarily, those have been the folks that have signed up to take this so far, to allow themselves time and space to recognize the wholeness of who they are. So it's not just what are my accomplishments, what certifications do I hold, where did I go to university? That's all fine. And you could make a list and it would be a bio. But my goal is to help you write a bio that truly shows the essence of who you are. It's basically like a mission statement written in the form of a bio where you talk about your most fundamental values, what's most exciting to you, what you're most passionate about, and get it into language that truly reflects you. So often it's folks, maybe they want to spruce up their LinkedIn. It might be for that kind of purpose, but it's usually folks that are seeking to make a change or want to step into public speaking, or they want to start being on podcasts, but they haven't framed themselves in this way that isn't just sort of a list of accomplishments or jobs held. So that's that. I have a whole sort of workshop template that I take folks through. One of the things I ask people to really heavily consider in writing the bio is who comes to you for advice, which I think is a much more grounded way of saying who's your target audience, but who can learn from you. It helps you get in touch with what you have to teach. And people are coming to each of us for advice in different areas. And sometimes folks get stuck. And I'll say something like, well, you're a mom. I'll use myself as an example. I'm a mom and one of my children is neurodivergent. So I've spent many, many years talking to other moms about how to navigate the school system with a child who's dyslexic and has ADHD. and what that looks like for me. So that's a group that comes to me for advice, right? And, oh, okay, it helps folks reframe who they are, what they have to offer. And then I also really ask people to lean into their lived experience. This is not all about professional accomplishment, right? This is about, what have you suffered? What have you learned from that? Who are you in relationship to your people, to your community? Where do you find that strength? What's unique and interesting about you? And then we write collaboratively. So the small group helps each other. We work in dyads. I give feedback in writing, and then we come back together for another session where everyone sort of presents their final edit and gets more feedback from the group. And for me, there's a really strong thread in writing collaboratively, because I may think of a word choice, someone might help you reframe something, and I just think the piece ends up much, much, much stronger, because sometimes our people see us better than we see ourselves. And for women especially, it may be difficult to articulate what you bring to the table. And in my experience, our women friends are very good at doing that with us, right?
What, we can't do it on AI then?
Well, you're asking me that as a leading question. I'm not a fan of AI. I do feel like AI writing tends to end up sounding all the same, and it doesn't represent your soul, your spirit, who you are. Now, I've definitely run bios through AI as an exercise with folks, and sometimes a phrase will pop out that's really interesting. I think in my personal bio, there's a phrase where I say that I find meaning in the chaos of creation. Something in there came from AI, if I recall, and it felt really true to me, right? But generally, no, I don't love AI for that purpose, because it needs to come from within.
Tricia, what do you think the thing is that women need in order to feel empowered in business, or to feel empowered and engaging in this creative process even?
So I think that answer is different for different women, right? That's not a cop-out. That's just sort of like each of us have our own areas where we might feel challenged or scared. And what we need is to be among other folks that can help us, that can push us past our comfort zone, that can identify the areas where maybe we're struggling, and then provide resources, give suggestions, sort of step in and help coach each other. And there are many, many things that, I might be working with someone who's not comfortable with writing. Well, I'm very comfortable with writing, so let me help you work on this piece of writing that you're doing, right? I can tell you personally, I have challenges with thinking about money and budgeting related to business. I've been a social justice warrior for so many years that it's almost difficult for me to take money for my work. And as I'm coming into my 50s, that's not working for me anymore. I want to be valued. I want to get paid what I'm worth. So I have surrounded myself by friends, by colleagues, by coworkers who keep reflecting that back to me. Every time I panic when I need to write a proposal or turn in a budget for a project, I need those people to be with me and say, hey, you're running a business here. You deserve to be paid fairly. So I don't think there's one set answer for any given piece of what folks need. But what the answer for me is, make sure you're surrounded by people that have your back, that know you well, and are really going to push you in the direction you need to go, and provide those resources when they need them, or the skill set when you need it. A friend can help you do the thing, right? And I find that to be much more effective. And for me, that's intimate. I don't necessarily mean I want to join a broader networking group to get that, right? That's why for me, Powerhouse is such a powerful idea of like, it's a collective, it's a group of women who are committed to each other within this community, and there can be circles of that connection that are going to be around it. But fundamentally, I want folks here to be that community for each other.
Yeah. I'm
just wondering, as you speak, Kendall and I own wellness centers, and I want what you have, and I want to see how businesses, on small businesses, can use the space that you've created, or the ideas that you're holding in that space. I wonder how all those things can mesh. I don't know if that's a well-formulated question or not, but
are you asking, Anna, if how could what Tricia's created actually support small businesses in doing some work with a team like hers to clarify their message and grow their business, or do that personal development work together as a team, more of a sort of like a a small business wellness or corporate wellness type of vibe. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It feels like what Tricia's created is a collaborative
Right.
community, and what we as small business owners are often seeking is valuable team building in a way, or opportunities to bring our teams together and create in a space. But I'm just trying to think through how that might work in our businesses.
Yeah. I think that one of the most important professional development pieces that often gets left out as we're hustling and struggling with small businesses is remembering to have fun together.
Yeah.
And connecting, right? And that's definitely my personality. I'm as I said, I'm 7. I'm very invested in laughter and connection and finding joy. It's really important to me, and it has a place at work, because I do think that helps people want to show up, want to do their work. That sort of joyful side of being in community then I think naturally engenders the more vulnerable and authentic side of what folks need. And it's that emotional state of balance that helps us accomplish whatever it is we need to do within the small business, right? I do think it's very paired with how we're doing emotionally and psychologically, and whether we're able to share our truth at our workplace, that then we can actually do the labor together and be productive in those kinds of ways. So I would encourage people to not silo and think of like work is work and home is home and personal life is personal life, but to really, and women are good at this, right? Figure out how to blend those parts of our lives a little bit more, a lot more holistically, because I think that it really leads to deeper, richer connections, which lead to more productivity at work. So that's the sort of fundamental philosophy behind it. And then I think there are lots of ways, workshops, the creativity type of workshops that I offer. I come in sometimes and I do a 3-hour photography workshop. And again, people are like, I'm not creative. And I start it with a poem, a list poem. So it's not a challenging form of poetry where I am. And you list out all these different parts of your identity, and you kind of expand on who you are in the world in each of the spheres that you operate in. And then we go out and we do a photo walk, and we figure out, like, let's take some photos of you. Let's take some photos of your environment that kind of reflect back this holistic identity that you have. And that's just really fun at the same time. And people are challenged and stretched and not sure exactly what to do about it. But like, let's just go and explore. And I think that kind of, that it just helps you be looser and more facile at making good decisions at work and taking risks and building things as a team. So for me, there's a really direct link between coming together to get creative and to share our stories and being more effective at work.
I agree 1000%. And I think there's room for collaboration and joy in every industry. And, we really talk about this. Everyone talks about this idea of work-life balance, but I think we could all agree it's more about integration. And I think there's room for your personal true self in any workplace, in any industry. And, even in healthcare, right? We work with, in our clinic, right? We have a strong focus on mental health and trauma, and we're working with people who are suffering. And we hear a lot of tragic stories and horrific things. And there's still room for joy in the treatment room. There's still room for joy as a team of providers. So I just love what you said. And it made me think of this book by Twyla Tharp, who is a famous choreographer. And she has a book called The Art of Collaboration. And it's from her perspective as a choreographer and a dancer, but it fits beautifully into any work environment.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, and I will. I know I'm familiar with her work, but
I think you would like it.
That embodied fluidity, right?
Yeah.
Like collaborate, move, use our bodies, use our souls. That's what you all are doing at wellness centers, right? And you are trying to help people integrate. And I have to say, there's a feminist political stance embedded in all of this for me, which is that as a mother who had children who had very high needs during their younger years, it felt almost impossible to be able to do what I needed to do to advance my career and to raise my babies and to figure out how to do all of it and how to keep those things separate. And it was too difficult, right? That is too difficult of an ask for women who are trying to be present for their children and parent in really sort of hands-on, connected ways. And then you're supposed to go away to work for however many hours a day, and your kids just sort of vanish from your worldview, right?
Yeah.
And it's part of why Powerhouse, for me, my children are older now, and I don't have littles, but I want to invite women to the space who have kids at whatever stage and whatever age, and like, they're welcome here, right? If there's a day when your kid needs to come, that's not going to stop you from doing what you need to do. And yes, we're going to have family-friendly events as well, because you need to know that being a mom doesn't mean that you can't also be this thing at the same time, because I didn't have enough of that when my kids were younger. And so I really want to create that for women now.
It's beautiful.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Tricia, you also do some keynote speaking.
I do.
What do you keynote speak on?
Well, my topic for my keynote speaking is Our Stories Connect Us. So I try to weave my own story. It's a lot of what it means to be a filmmaker, my love of movies from a very, very, very young age. I didn't go to film school till I was in my late 20s. It did not occur to me that that was a job that a woman could do. I'm the first woman in my family to ever go to college. I didn't sort of know how to dream about what careers might look like for myself, and kind of figured it out in my 20s and 30s. So the keynote speaking is a lot about sort of my origin story as a filmmaker, the work that I've made. And I have this like deep, intense passion for diverse representation on screen. It's connected to a lot of what we're talking about. I think for us to feel well, for us to feel whole, we need to feel seen. We need to feel heard. And for me, a very thrilling way for that to happen is on screen through movies and television. It's just the perfect confluence of artistry and politics. So I talk a lot about my journey as a filmmaker. And then as I sort of referenced, my journey as a mother has become increasingly complex over the last years. I also, as a daughter, I have a mother who during the pandemic developed dementia, and she has had a very, very rapid decline. So I'm sort of grappling with the legacy of storytelling, and what does it mean to be a mother, and what does it mean to be a daughter, and how is that related to me being a creator of stories. So instead of just talking about representation on screen, which is something I did a lot when I was a professor, I'm integrating more of my sort of personal journey around how I'm framing my story of resilience, my story of perseverance, my story of pain and loss and radical acceptance, figuring out how to be who I need to be for my children, for my mom in this phase of my life. So it has some laughs. It has some pop culture references. I talk about how I like to cosplay as characters from my favorite shows. And I really talk about sort of the true, authentic storytelling that comes when we really sit and share, our journeys with each other. So, yeah.
Tricia, I feel like we could talk to you all day. It's just been such a pleasure to have you on and hear about how the work you're doing really is. It's absolutely a form of wellness and creativity and health. And I just love what you're doing in your community. If people want to find you and reach out, how can they do that?
On Instagram, I'm at Flacca Films. That's FLACAFILMS. And that's a place where I do a lot of social media around the teaching and the filmmaking that I do. My keynote company is called Tricia Speaks. And you can find me on LinkedIn, where I post a lot of the personal work that I've been talking about, some of the writing that gets developed and turned into my keynote speaking. I share there on LinkedIn. So that would be a great place to find me as well.
Wonderful.
And I'm assuming your bio on LinkedIn is not AI.
It is not. You can go and check it out and see what you think. Way to bring it full circle, Anna. It's great. And Anna knows this, but the week that I wrote my new bio, which I did in a workshop, right? I was a student and I was so moved by that experience that like, I do this learn one, teach one, that's my sort of philosophy. So as soon as I learned how to do that, that's when I developed the workshop idea. I put it up on LinkedIn, and within 2 days, there was a major corporate client that I've been trying to work with for my keynote speaking. They saw that bio, the brand new sparkly bio that really represented this version of myself. And it was like, bam, bam, bam. It was just like kismet. It all fell together in 1 week, right? So I like people to write those bios, Anna, and get them up onto their LinkedIn's ASAP. Hers has not been put up yet, Kendall.
Well, we will have to hold her accountable. Tricia, thank you so much for being here. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the Wellness Center Creators podcast. We hope you found this episode informative and valuable.
If you enjoyed the show, please consider subscribing and leaving a rating and review. Your support helps us reach more health and wellness professionals like you.
For additional resources, show notes, and more episodes, visit our website at wellnesscentercreators.com.
We'd love to connect with you and hear your thoughts, experiences, and questions. Feel free to reach out to us through our website or social media channels.
Once again, thank you for listening. We appreciate your dedication to providing exceptional patient care.
Join us next time as we continue exploring the world of wellness center creation. Until then, take care and keep making a difference.
Thanks for listening to the Wellness Center Creators podcast.